All right, we are live. This is the episode 5 of the Authentic You podcast. This is a little bit of a special version because I've got 2 guests on today, which is the first time we're going to navigate through this one. And legitimately, they just met a few minutes ago. So definitely a little different. But today's podcast is really interesting because we've got 3 different decades of business owners and fatherhood kind of between the 3 of us. So Ernie is in his late 20s. I'm in my mid 30s, and then Carlos Alcala is in his early 40s. And so kind of a fun little, guy talk, if you will, for us to get together. And, definitely interested to hear everyone's perspective on just everything really, from business startups. All 3 of us, like I said, are business owners, and we're all fathers, and obviously we're in different stages of our overall life. And so I think today's episode's definitely going to be focused and surrounded about that. So appreciate you guys coming today, and we're going to kick it off. I'll do a little introduction, just where people can find you. So Ernie, where can people reach out and find you after this podcast?
So you can find me on Instagram at Ernie, ERNIE _ITC.
Nice. Perfect. And Carlos?
You can find me, our team, at drivehospitality.com, or on Instagram, it's drive.hospitality.
Nice. Perfect. And so we've got 3 very different businesses. So, just to kind of frame it up, and if I at all insult either of your guys' businesses, please correct my ass. This is, all about you guys and just making sure people can kind of, whoever's watching this, sometimes it's friends, families, people are starting to watch us just naturally from YouTube and stuff like that. But, Ernie, you have a men's barbershop. Is that correct? Is that the best way to describe it?
Yeah, so we're a barbershop. You actually can't say just men's anymore.
Okay.
Because they actually send a letter out and now you can technically get in trouble for saying
nice.
we
That's
won't.
California for you.
Yeah, that's definitely California. We cannot turn down women.
Okay, perfect.
But we definitely are a barbershop that specializes in shorter hair.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. All right. And then, myself, guys, I own a men's health clinic, and I'm a partner in a few other businesses. Carlos, you own a parking company and are an investor in several other businesses.
Yeah, well, we kind of look at it more like a hospitality company, though parking is part of it. But we do a variety of services. So it's a few companies. So we have Drive Hospitality, we have Drive Hospitality Staffing, and we cater to luxury residential properties, luxury hotels. We deal with a lot of high-end events. Most recent one that'll start this Monday will be the Genesis Invitational with the Tiger Woods Foundation. So we're a preferred vendor with them, and focused on some tech software investments. So we decided to kind of step into that realm and invest in a couple of different software platforms that also tie into the hospitality space.
Nice.
Because you just never know where things will lead.
Yep. And a little footnote for everybody. One of the businesses that I'm a partner in is a parking business. And so Carlos and I are actually competitors as well. So we do compete against each other for proposals and bids and hotel management, parking management, all of that good stuff. But Carlos and I have been friends for a long time, probably going on 15 plus years at least.
2010?
Yeah. Or so, maybe not 15 quite yet, but
Well,
so
it's been a while though.
yeah. And Ernie, we connected right around the pandemic time because Ben lived right down the street. Ben's one of my best friends, and Ben was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Whoever's cutting your hair, really jacking you up. It's improved a lot. I used to cut it way too short. It's really unique for me to think about all 3 of us having businesses and starting them at different periods of time. And also COVID/post-COVID, and in California as well. And there's so many different stipulations. And then also obviously, just being family guys and having kids and just trying to navigate through that, or having, I know you're also focused on your real estate,
Yes.
So you're building that business alongside with, in the cuts. And so it's kind of, we're all managing a lot of different hats at the same time. So what I want to do is I want to, Ernie, open it up to you and talk about how did you take that leap, man? Like in your 20s, like most people don't start a business in their 20s. I know I didn't. I don't think you did.
Mm-mm.
So you're definitely the youngest entrepreneur in the room, man. Would definitely love to understand like what made you decide to open the business.
So I've been cutting hair since high school. Like I love cutting hair. Whenever I graduated, I started working at Sears, and I mean, it got to the point, bro, where like if I stayed home and cut hair, I'd make more money than going to work.
Yeah.
So once you get to that point, you realize like, okay, I got to do something with this. You know, it's like you're just at such a point in your life at 18 where like, man, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? So I chose that route, and I started cutting hair. I got into a barbershop, really liked the environment, and I really liked, just working in a barbershop, man. Like you go into a barbershop and you feel a vibe, you know?
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. And at about 21, my wife got pregnant. And bro, just something about like about to have a baby, it
Fucking
flips.
freaks you out.
Yeah, it freaks you out and it flips a switch on you, you
Yeah.
know? So I was like, man, what am I gonna do? And at this time, I'm living with my parents, and I felt like I had some money stacked up. So I felt like if there was ever a time for me to do it, it's now, you
Yeah.
know? And I was able to take that opportunity and just fully focus on opening up a barbershop. And I did that. I did that at 22 years old. And I
It's just
mean,
gone gangbusters since.
yeah, bro, it's like when you love what you do, it shows.
Yeah.
So I've been able to build a really cool barbershop and a really good team out of it. And, um, I mean, I opened it when I was really young. So when I was like 22 years old, bro, like I definitely went through a lot of struggles of like people coming in and being like, oh, like, is this your dad's barbershop or
Yeah.
whatever, just people talking shit. So, I definitely feel like I made the right choice by doing that at the time. And, I want to continue to do that. I love business in general.
Yeah. Well, and I think you and I have talked about that too. Is like, fuck, maybe it should be a franchise because it is a very clean operation. Like, if you do live locally, please check this man out because, like, the vibe and the environment, like you said, you've got a lot of other young, artists in there. Really, that's what it is, And you're right, the vibe is something special, Like it is kind of like that guy space, and yeah, it's not just men that can go in there, but like it definitely is. It creates a different environment when
Yeah.
guys can feel a little bit more comfortable around other guys, and then you start talking. I know you and I have talked several times about business, real estate. Like I remember even before you bought your house, like we were talking about that, and I just
Yeah.
kept pushing on your ass. I was like, bro, buy something, anything right now, like just go for it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then now you're fucking into real estate. Like how crazy is that
No.
flip? How crazy has that been for you, like transitioning, like obviously having your main business, but then also focusing now on real estate?
It's hard because I feel like real estate's one of those things that's really easy to get into. So everybody and their moms does real estate. You go on the Facebook page and you say, "Hey, does anybody know a realtor?" And you're gonna get, 50 comments of people referring somebody. So it's been hard because I feel like I wear the realtor hat sometimes and I wear the barbershop hat sometimes, and I'm trying to find the balance in between the both. And I mean, I'm at a great brokerage and we're working on creating a team, and that way I can help as many people as possible with the most, and give people the best service.
Yeah.
And I think that, sometimes people think that like, oh man, I love the knowledge that you give me, but I know you're a really busy guy, and that can be a downfall. So I've just been, creating SOPs on how I'm operating and separating that time and really delegating whatever I need to get those things done ASAP for people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's like a hard thing when you're wearing multiple hats in business because people are like, well, how do you manage that time?
Yeah.
Because I personally, I get that too, especially between a very busy, you know, job and then that I'm a partner in and have to grow. And I have a team of 450 employees that are like leaning on me to grow the business, but then also having the men's health clinic that's just opening. And obviously the first year of operation is the hardest. So people definitely will inquire, right?
Yes.
Including people above me, which is great. And I actually like that because it does challenge you to give them the SOPs or give them the timeline or hit those marks. But I think for people who, might be watching, that is on the individual. You know what I mean? Like until you fall short,
Yeah.
is there really a reason you can't do it?
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that us as people, like, especially like, you know, when you have businesses and you have this mindset, and I mean, you know, like I see you at the gym, bro, every single day at like 5 a.m., 4 a.m., you know, like
Yeah.
you create a standard for yourself,
Yep.
and you accept nothing less than that, you know? So once you start creating standards and systems for yourself, you become like this individual where you are, you know, managing your time properly, where
Yeah.
other people are waking up and complaining about, bro,
Mm-hmm.
like I talked to so many people and they already have an excuse on why they can't get to the gym.
Yeah.
You're there at like 4 or 5 a.m., you know,
Yeah.
like people can't, they don't want to wake up an hour early to go. So it's like if you make excuses starting there, you're making excuses everywhere else.
Yeah. I was just talking to somebody earlier actually at the gym about this because he was just like, "You're doing a podcast today? Like, bro, what the fuck? I saw you post something at 4 a.m. walking earlier today." And I was like, "Well, listen, here's the thing." And like, so with running two businesses, if you were to work 8 hours at each one, that is 16 hours in the day. And like, you still have that other 8 hours. And
Yeah.
like, I mean, yeah, you could sleep 8 hours, or you have a family that you need to spend 8 hours with, or you have, you know, but the reality is, like, if you're doing business the right way, and if you're an entrepreneur, okay, so like a day job, yeah, you have to put in that 40 hours a week. But as an entrepreneur, you might only need to put in 2 hours a day towards that craft, or 6 hours a day, or maybe you are putting 10 hours a day
Yeah.
on top of that other 8 hours or whatever that you're putting in. So I think people have a misconception about what entrepreneurship is, and they don't realize that everyone can be a business owner and everyone can be an entrepreneur. You just have to put in that extra time.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
that's the thing. So you can run a successful business and build a brokerage and do both of them successfully at the same time. The problem is people have trouble understanding that because they're not capable of doing it. So then they question, well, how much time are you really spending doing those things?
100%.
Doing those things.
Yeah.
So Carlos, I want to navigate a little bit over to you. And by the way, you guys
Yeah.
can also interject. Don't let me just host this bad boy. You know what I mean? So you guys can ask each other questions and ask me questions, whatever, however we want to navigate this. It's a little unique. So I'll keep kind of moderating it a little bit, but I feel like you guys are like on a little bit of a debate right here.
Oh no, I'm loving it. I love it. Honestly, just listen to it. I mean, I think, you know, you said it right there where he's like, you know, there are people, not, and I can't say everybody, but there are people, and sometimes those people can be really close to you that just don't understand the 16, 18, 20 hours, 24 hours even sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but it's the work you need to put in for at least, sometimes it could be a year, sometimes it could be 2 years, sometimes it could be 3 years.
Oh yeah.
There's no timeline. And so people don't understand, like, oh, well, after your first year, you should be fine. No, it doesn't work that way. There's, you know, when you become an entrepreneur and you take that risk on yourself because you know, like, you know what, I'm going to do it. It just, there's no timeline. It's just,
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
do or
7
die.
days. Yeah, that's it. And people say like, oh, but you know, well, what would be your plan B? And I tell people, I'm like, plan B is plan A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no plan B, because if the moment you have a plan B, something I can fall back on, because that's what you hear a lot.
100%.
What's something, you know, what are you gonna fall back on? Like, you should go to college, you should just, you know. And my story is a little unique, but I tell everybody, like, if you have a plan B, that's gonna be in the back of your mind. So you're not gonna give this thing 100%.
Yeah.
If you have a plan B, you're not all in.
No,
Yeah.
that's it.
The only thing I'll interject on that is, I think when creating your plan A, you have to have 5 or 6 ways to get back to plan A if the original route doesn't work out, right? So like maybe you needed funding or you put in $100,000 and then all of a sudden you get halfway through and you're like, shit, I needed 200,000. And now you got to figure out how to get that back, right? And you have to create a new plan, and that new plan might impact the way your first plan worked. So it's not that you have a plan B or C or D or E or, you know, whatever, but you have to have multiple ways to always come back to the whole point of why you started that business.
Yeah.
Like what was the point of starting the business? You know what I mean? What did you want to do? And you better figure out all the different ways to get back to that.
Yeah.
Because if not, then what was the point?
Oh yeah,
You know?
it's and I think and you're right about that. It's because they're gonna have those moments where it's like, that doubt starts to come in, and you got to make sure that at some point you just don't let it get to the extreme where it'll literally cause you to just step back and be like, all right, I'm just gonna go get a job over here. That doubt will kick in, and it'll get you thinking, and I've had it. I mean,
I was just gonna ask that question. When did it kick in for you? I want to see when it kicked in for you. When it kicked in for you, because we all had it for sure. So how early into the opening the business did you have did I make a mistake?
Well, it was crazy because we launched pretty much in the pandemic. It was like I had this, I had already helped another company launch back in 2014, and then I left and helped another company grow, and I was just like, man, you know what? I'm helping these people build, right? There was a team member who's with me now. He's part of the DH family, no matter what. Who in those last couple companies, he'd always said like, hey, you should start your own company. And I was like, yeah. But in my mind, I always thought like it's going to be hard. You have to get these insurances and nobody's willing to help you. Yeah. Like that was the one thing I found out. Nobody was willing to help me to like, hey, what do I need? Nobody's really willing to help you. So, when we launched straight out the gate, it was like January 2021. Boom, we launched, and I'm like, okay, we got a client here, just like for events, and then we got the Tiger Woods client was one of our first big, clients for a golf tournament. Oh, how are we gonna pull this off? This was our first big event. We needed at least 45 people. So scattered, it was just me. I have a business partner in here as well, and it was just like we need to figure this out. And it's like, our business partner is the one that created our logo and did a lot of our work. This guy's amazing at this stuff. But we were like, we got to figure this out. So somehow, some way, we pulled it off. Yeah. We pulled off this event, the Genesis Invitational 2021. And that was done. It was like, great. This was our first actual profit that we made. Okay, we'll put it in the bank. And then we're like going. I'm like thinking, okay, I'm trying to reach out to people, some proposals, introductions here and there. And just hoping something comes back. And during that time, somebody that I had met back in San Diego at a hotel had reached out, and I'd sent him a little message. Hey, listen, I've ventured off my own. This is my company. If you ever need anything, just let me know. And he was opening up the Montage up in Healdsburg, and he says, hey, do you provide staffing? I said, yeah. I'm like, yeah. What do you need? I'll provide whatever you want.
I'm not there.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, what do you need? So he's like, I need at least 6 people. Okay, perfect. By when? I think this was like by like March or April. So we did Genesis in February. By like, I think it was April, somewhere around there. We were just gonna go out there and help them with 6 people. So, somehow we found some people, but to make it up to 6, it was myself and one other person. We basically were part of that 6. So I was driving up north for like 6 months.
I remember when you were doing that, and I actually just thought you were just going to check on everybody. I had no idea. You're like, shit, I got scheduled work right now at this time.
Yeah, no, I was grinding. I was in my car at midnight driving from LA straight up to Napa. Wow. Just driving straight up there to Healdsburg. And I would be up there for a week or so, and I'd be out there working, building a team. And then we went from 6. By the time we finished our supplemental staffing contract, we ended up with like 32 employees. Damn. And we took over from just helping in the valet to taking over the shuttle driving, to taking over the entire valet department, to helping with the luggage assistance, to having a lot attendant because the lot was so small, stacking cars and doing all that. And, I was like, wow, we literally just increased it. But there was one day that changed everything. I
was just going to say, we need to frame this back to that question. Yeah, when was the doubt? Here it comes. Here comes the shit. Did I make a mistake?
I think it was like literally end of April, beginning of May. And it's like 12:30 in the morning, 1 in the morning. And I just went over the hump on the 5. right when you get down, hit that grapevine, and it splits. You can go to
Oh, no.
Bakersfield or you can go towards like San Francisco. It splits, and right there, and I'm just like, and the road's clear. There's nothing, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just driving, and I have it on cruise control, and then I looked up. I had my sunroof open because you can see the stars. Looked up, and I was like, God, just give me one opportunity. I just
Yeah.
need one chance. Just give me one chance. I'll take care of the rest. Just one chance, and I'll take care of the rest. That was the point, because I was in my mind. I'm thinking, man, if I don't get something,
Yeah, it's not worth it.
I'm not gonna be able to take care of my responsibilities. I can't take care of the family, like nothing.
Yeah.
I gotta put food on the table. I got bills to pay. Man, I get to Healdsburg, and there was this coffee shop that I always stopped at when I would get there. It was like Black Oak. It was really good coffee. These guys are amazing. I'd get there, and by the time I get there, and the signal wasn't great, get there, and I finally I connect, and I see all these messages coming through, and then my business partner calls me. His name is Bashar. He calls me. He's like, "Hey, did you check your email?" I was like, "No, check your email." So I look at my email, and then I see all these missed calls, and I'm like, "Oh." So I was like, "Oh, let me call this number back." So I called the number back, and it was a proposal that we had put out, and it's a client now, and he answers the phone and says, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey, trying to get a hold of you." Ownership, we went through the proposals, and we decided that we want to work with Drive Hospitality.
Nice.
And I was like, we are thankful for this opportunity.
Yeah.
And I promise you, this is the best decision you've ever made.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that's when everything changed.
So do you
Everything.
So do you think, like, because I want to make sure to ask you the same question, but do you think that the moment where you had the doubts was the fact that you were having to work so hard for so little reward? Like, essentially, I'm assuming you're one of those 6 people. You're not paying yourself, essentially, because you need the business to be able to make payroll and all that good stuff. So was that kind of like fuck, if something doesn't come through, like, I might need to quit. Like, I might need to give up. But then that proposal landed, like, right when you were thinking, like, man, I'm driving 8 hours, midnight, falling asleep in my car, like, you know what I mean? Then, like, you just ask, for that, please, one more opportunity.
Yeah.
But if that opportunity would have come through, do you think you would have made it through?
I think
it's hard
it's
because
hard to tell. It's hard to tell, man, because I can't.
Well, like you said,
predict the
plan A
future.
is plan B,
But
plan B,
that was
plan
it.
A. Yeah.
I was
gotcha.
like, man, I was just, I was asking for a sign. Like, did I make the right decision?
Yeah.
Did I just, I just left. I just 2-week notice of the job, and just boom, this is all it, man. This is it. And the company literally started. The company started with $7,000.
Yeah.
And we went from a $7,000 starting to buy whatever we needed to get things done, to now we're, at a $6 million, gross.
Yeah.
Over 160 something employees. I'm responsible, and I can't say but we are responsible for all the lives there.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel like, there was that moment of like, man,
Yeah, something's got to go one way or the other.
I was like, I don't want to go ask for.
I got you.
I don't want to go reach out to people I know, like, hey, asking for a job. I didn't want to do that. That was like, that was not gonna happen. I was not gonna do that.
Yeah.
And thank God,
Yeah, you put
somebody
it out there.
listened to me.
Yeah, I got it.
Because it happened, and was that was the turning point. It changed the trajectory of the company, my life, everything. It was there. June 1st is when we started our first contract.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Ernie, it's coming, man. When did that doubt set in? Because I know every business and entrepreneur has it.
Yeah. So for me, luckily, when we first opened, I feel like in the retail business, like, when something's new, it's, people are curious, they want to come in. So I had a team of, like, pretty talented individuals who they are now business owners as well, and they own, barbershops. And after the pandemic happened, like, barbershops when they like it shut down, bro. Like the world shut down. Like
Yeah.
if you got a haircut during the pandemic, people were looking at you funky. Like
Yeah.
who do you know? You
Dude,
know?
I actually forgot about that. Ben cut my hair once in the garage. I totally fucking forgot about that shit.
Yeah.
Horrible.
You should have hit me up. I would have did it in my garage.
No,
bro.
I mean, I don't remember exactly the date, but I remember like obviously there was that period of time where like you guys were closed.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, for the most part, we were shut down. I didn't open up to like closer to the end, and I regret it. I should have stayed open the whole time. But during that time, I think that's what gave my first team and those barbers the opportunity to leave.
yeah.
You know, it's where they're like, all right, well, we're not working right now, so
We gotta do
and we're
something.
we're making a lot of PPP money. We're getting unemployment.
Yeah.
Why would we want to come to work?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? So I pretty much lost a majority of my team. And and a lot of these guys went and opened up their own shops. And in the barbershop world, like it's cool to see new shops, right?
Yeah.
So it's like people tend to go with them. You see who goes. So I at a point I did lose like half of my team, and I was just like, man, like what am I gonna do? Did I make the right move? What
Yeah.
But I think that you need that in your life because it causes you to reconstruct your business.
Yep.
You know?
Mhm.
So now that I went through that and now that I have more competitors,
Yeah.
I'm better. I'm
Yeah.
better. I'm a better individual. I'm a better business owner. I am constantly realizing that you have to be, you have to constantly invest into your business.
Yeah. I think competition is actually for people who want to be successful. I think competition is actually a very, very healthy thing. I actually had this conversation with somebody the other day where like we were talking about it, and there's an opportunity for that person to possibly go to another company, a competing company with mine. And I was just like, look, I'm gonna always support you. I want you to be happy. I want you to be healthy, and I wish you the best. If I'm not the person or the company or whatever to provide that to you, I'm gonna support you as a personal friend. But if you put me in a room with that competitor, my money's on me,
Yeah.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And not from an ego standpoint, not because that person's not talented, but because I know what I have to offer.
Yeah.
And I also know that I care more about you personally,
Yeah.
first and foremost, than professionally.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, I wouldn't be the type of leader that I am. And so at the end of the day, I love healthy competition.
Yeah.
End of the year, I will tell you guys, I tell my team every like November 1st comes around and I get fucking excited. I start drooling. I'm like, everyone's about to fucking fall asleep.
October.
And I doubled down. Yeah, budget season. Yeah. I doubled down because I'm like, I look at my business and I go, I've ingrained both of my businesses into my life. So I don't look at them as work anymore. I don't work. When someone asks me, like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, fuck, how do I answer this? Because honestly, I love what I do on both sides, both businesses, where I don't feel like I work. I really feel like it's a game. Like I literally wake up in the morning, I'm like, I got this plan. I know how today is going to navigate. And I'm so, focused on my schedule and like literally weeks out and sometimes months out. And, so I don't think about it. Like I don't take time off.
Yeah.
So like when I go, like I literally have a trip planned next week and I leave on Wednesday I leave on Thursday and I will work on the plane. I will get the internet. I will work. I'm on PTO from one business. I will literally work on the plane. And I will answer emails on Friday in between stuff.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then, I'm going to enjoy Saturday, Sunday for sure. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm still working. You know what I mean? Like I can travel wherever. I will work. Like literally put me in vacation mode. I'm in Cancun. I could be on vacation. I'll be sitting there on my phone with a Mai Tai, just fucking boop, 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 boop. Like, so I think it's a healthy thing to have competition because the difference between true entrepreneurs and true leaders is that they don't actually work. It's a game. It's like a fun process. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, that's
No,
my
I
perspective.
agree. I agree with you 100%. And exactly what you said, no matter what. Everybody says, oh, and you take vacation. Oh, why are you always on your phone? I'm like, I was like, it's not work for me. It's not work. And they go, well, you love what you do. It's not work. And so like answering emails and doing this and that, it's like, it's normal. I mean, I like it. Yeah. Every now and then, you have moments where you're like, oh, why did that happen? Or why did you do that? Like, but it's a really good moment to teach your team and so that they can learn, so that the next time something like that happens, they already know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go through that, but at the end of the day, it's really not work. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's when you love what you do. Like that's why people say, like, when you love what you do, you can be doing it for, you can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, I love what I do, and I work, at the barbershop. It's not, I guess it's not very normal for people to come in at 7 a.m. and leave at 8 p.m. or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the hard thing on this too is like, Carlos, like, you're a father, right?
Yeah.
How old are your
Yeah.
kids?
Well, actually, I have three. So I have a 4-year-old, it'll be 5. I have an 8-year-old, is gonna be 9, and then I have a 22-year-old
Oh, wow.
who I'm very proud of her.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like, and Joe, I know you have kids as well, and it's like, it's dangerous when you love what you do,
Mm-hmm.
because you can get so caught up in doing what you love and you're gone all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you still got to come home and be a father,
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
So
Yeah, that's the hard part. Yeah, you're right. You're right, because it's like, oh, well, let's play or let's do this, and you're like,
yeah.
and sometimes it does have like moments where you're like, oh, dude, I need to turn it
Bro.
off.
Yeah.
Or just getting home and the kids
Yeah.
are already asleep,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the one thing I learned a long time ago, and it was really, really tough for me to try to eventually get comfortable with saying this, but it really isn't about the like quantity of time. It's about the quality of
Yeah.
time. And so at the end of the day, like, there was a period of time, to your point, Ernie, as I was trying to like make myself like legitimately, I was moving around all the time, different, like literally moved up north, moved back down south. And then like I ended up at a spot where I had to commute there was an opportunity where it was like, if I take this opportunity, it's going to put me forward 5-6 years. But the sacrifice I'm going to have to make is I'm going to have to commute 100 miles each way for who knows how many years. And it ended up being 6 years where I would commute 100 miles one way, 100 miles back. And so to your point, I would leave the house at like 4 a.m. in the morning and not go home till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday for the most part,
Yeah.
for years. And so I became like a weekend dad. But I ended up learning, I was like, okay, what could I do? Okay, I can call them on the way home, right? Or like after I work out and before I start work, I call them, hey, how's your day going? Did the bus come? Or, mom taking you? Like, just kind of like, hey, have a good, text them, hey, have a good day. Obviously it depends on how old your kids are, right? You can't be texting a 1-year-old or something like that.
Yeah.
But also just on the weekends, like having stuff planned. Like
Yeah.
there was a period of time during that 6 years, like friends would hit me up. I'm like, dude, I'm not hanging out with you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I am doing for this whole weekend is investing time into my kids.
And that, I'm sure that was super hard because you're driving and you're gone all day.
Yeah.
And then when you're finally back, you as a man, like, you want to relax, you want to sleep,
Yeah.
you want to chill.
Yeah. I got used to saying goodnight to them. So when I would try to make it home right at bedtime,
Yeah.
so I could at least say goodnight to them. And when they were younger, now they're older, right? I have a 18 soon to be 19-year-old and a 13 soon to be 14-year-old. But what I would do is I would literally make sure to say goodnight to them. And then it eventually transitioned as they got older to just giving them a blessing and like a prayer before bedtime.
Yeah.
And then when I was on the road, like if I was traveling like to different states or whatever, because that would happen too, I'd get in the habit of calling them when they were going to go to bed. And it just worked like that for a period of time. Then eventually, to your point, I think this is important for everybody. You'll learn to set boundaries.
Yeah.
So you'll get to a certain point in your career or your entrepreneurship where you'll go, I'm going to have to set some boundaries. The weekends are cool, but there has to be at least some extra time somewhere. So like for me, it was like Wednesdays. Like I was like, all right, middle of the week, if I could figure out how Wednesdays to either office from home or get home early on that day, like do a half day or something, that's fair for my family. So I'm going to do that as well. But I think, everyone has to navigate that, and it's going to be hard.
No, for sure. And if you want to be successful and take advantage of opportunities that are thrown at you in life, like, I think your family has to understand that there is going to be sacrifices that need to be made here.
Yeah.
So, do you guys know who Andy Elliott is?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been watching his shit.
Bro,
He's popping off.
he is. Yeah, and he said something where, like, it really made me think, He was like, you have to be where your feet are. If you're at work, You know,
You're at work.
you're at work and be the best fucking person you can be at work. You know, if you're with your kids, be with your fucking kids, right? Like, put the phone down. And I think that's something that, like, you know, this generation struggles with a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm working on. My biggest thing is the boundaries. I've been working on that and making sure that I have my phone set, you know, I put it down. I actually even have it in a mode where like no calls come through unless they're urgent, and I can focus and spend some time with them.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, if not, it'll consume me.
Yeah.
You know.
I had Claude on the podcast, and he talked about a story about walking his dog, as simple as that is. But he was talking about roles, and we all wear different roles. So, like, to your point, like, you have to be present. And he was saying, like, one of his roles is he's a dog owner, and he was like, I would literally was taking my dog for a walk, and I would like be on a conference call, and my dog's just trying to like get that 15 to 30 minutes with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, stop, like barking, no, like, you know. And he literally said, I learned to put my phone on airplane mode. You know what I mean? To just enjoy the time.
Yeah.
I eventually started doing that too. Like if I was going to lunch or dinner with the kids, you know, or something like that, like I literally would put my phone on airplane mode if I'm going to a movie, or, you know, if we're just hanging out at the house, like, I would do that too. It is harder as an entrepreneur to do that because you really are the final call, right?
Yes,
so
100%.
it's so it is a lot tougher to do that. So that's where the sacrifice of your family, whether it's wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever they are, those people, you almost have to have a conversation with them to say, listen, here's my priorities. Here's what I'm trying to do with my life. Here's the overall goal. Obviously, family should always be the first and foremost in everything that you're doing, because otherwise, what's the point? You know. But I will say, there's entrepreneurs out there that go, my priorities work, and then they accidentally have kids, and there's nothing wrong. And I'm not going to say like those type of people. They got put into a situation where like they are choosing work over family and whatever. And those people that happens too, right? Just like you have bad fathers, bad mothers, people who like totally give up their kids and like they never talk to them or never call them or whatever like that. But yeah, I think it comes down to being present in the moment and being proactive with that. So if you're going to start a business, like all of us started a business, you have to dial in and have that conversation events. Like before we get into this, let's figure this out. And I will tell everyone here, like that's something I had failed to do at several parts in my life, is like have that, like I have the roadmap in my head, but it's a false expectation to believe that everyone else sees it.
True. Very true.
And so I've had to do it with friends. I've had to do it with family members. I've had to do it with loved ones. I've even had to do it with my kids, where I say, listen, I need to explain something to you. This is what I'm trying to do. This is why I'm trying to do it. This is what I think the outcome is going to be. Doesn't always work out that way. Yeah. But this is what I want to try and do. Yeah. And I'm doing it for me first, because it's something I'm passionate about, but this is what it's going to do for all of us if it comes through. Because the reality is, as a business owner, you do impact a lot of people. You said it earlier. You have a team of people, hundreds of people, right? And so you're impacting those lives. You have employees. You're impacting those lives. They have family members, right? Whether they have friends. They might have kids. You know, so like you are the person who has to be able to see how to navigate through all that and how to make sure everyone's taken care of. Yeah. And sometimes the unfortunate piece is everyone looks at you like you're the dick. Yeah. Because you're the one. That's true. You're the one trying to keep everything together. And they don't realize that if you go, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to take a vacation today and I'm not going to work and I'm not going to do this. And all of a sudden you do that, and then all of a sudden it just goes, just sparkles down to everybody else. You know what I mean? Like it just fucking crumbles to everybody else.
Yeah, it's true. No, it's the truth. Honestly, I think, you know, the thing is, like, once you have all these employees, there's like hundreds of different personalities, and they may not even understand the pressures and the stress that comes with, you know, being an entrepreneur, being the main person that, you know, it has to make certain decisions and all that. I mean, yeah, you just want to shut it down and be like, wish. But you can't. Like it's impossible sometimes. Yeah. But it is. And I think, honestly, you know, going back to family, it's, you know, it's like, I think I'm fortunate now because I get to take my kids to school. Yeah. You know, you're right. And I may not see them awake, you know, when they go to bed, but the blessing is I get to take them to school.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think that to me is like, okay, that's where I can recover, at least right there.
Yeah.
I think now we're in year 4 as a company. You know, I'm able to step back a little bit. Not 100%. I'm able to step back a little bit. I have team members that tell me, hey, you know, don't worry about it. You know, why don't you just go somewhere and don't even worry about it. I'm like, I wish. I was like, but I tell you what, the moment I do that, I'm gonna get a text, an email, or a call.
Yeah.
I was like, and it's nothing against them. You know, it's nothing. They do great. I mean, we have an amazing team. I love every single one of them. I may be hard on them, but because I want to see them be successful too. You know, but I know that they also worry about, you know, like, I mean, they always worry about me and you know, having me being able to have time for myself.
Yeah.
You know, so, but it is tough. It is tough. You know, and I think just trying to find that balance is not always easy.
Yeah.
You know, everybody says, you know, they say the old saying, oh, work-life balance. That doesn't always apply to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, especially in the entrepreneurial world, you know, it doesn't necessarily apply. You know, there's just, I don't know. There was a saying, I was listening to somebody on YouTube, because I try to listen to a lot of different people, and it was something the guy was saying. If I'm at home too much, then I'm not making any money or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but if I'm at work too much, then I'm not a good father. I'm not this.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just a really rough balance.
Yeah.
You know, so I tell people, oh, what's your work? They ask me, what's the work-life balance? I tell them, well, what does that mean? There's, you know,
Yeah, and I guess that applies to different
Yeah.
phases in
Yeah.
your life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started doing something this past year because it hit me a little harder this past year because I had a lot of I knew I was going to have some losses, especially like my sister passing. So I knew she was going to be going. So I started trying to take inventory. That's what I'm calling it. It's like, and proceed with intention. Like those are the two kind of themed things that I'm using coming into this year, where I'm like, when I'm down, I stop and I just take inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did this yesterday, and I was like, let me take inventory right now. There's a lot of shit going on. I don't feel 100%, but what do I have?
Mm-hmm.
So let me take inventory of what I have. I'm alive. I'm breathing. People are taken care of that need to be taken care of. Yeah, I'm stressed the fuck out. I'm working a lot. But is everything moving forward? Everything's moving forward.
Yeah.
All right. I'm satisfied. I'm happy. You know what I mean? And then the proceed with intention is like, what am I trying to accomplish? You know what I mean? And am I taking steps forward to that? Or am I wasting time?
Yeah.
And as long as I'm proceeding forward with the intention of accomplishing whatever that small little baby step forward is, then I'm on track and I'm fine. There's no reason between those two. If I'm taking inventory and I'm proceeding with intention, I'm on track. It's only if I take inventory and go, everything's falling apart. Like then the story changes, right? But I think in rare situations that will ever happen, you know? So, those wins as entrepreneurs or as family members, when everyone is kind of like putting that pressure on you, sometimes that is when you get to take inventory and go, you know what? They deserve a little treat. You know what I mean? Like, let me take them on vacation. Let me take them to this. Let me do that. Let me have a barbecue at the house. Let me do something. And then you just got to kind of sit back. And at some point you just kind of like, everyone's fucking laughing. Everyone's having fun. And you kind of like get a look around and you're like, this is because of my hard work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I did that for the Christmas party. Like I had this massive Christmas party on a boat, and I'm like looking around, there's 100 people on this thing. And I'm like, 4 years ago, there was me. Now there's 100 people on this boat, and they're all having this great ass time. They're laughing, they're connecting. Like some of them haven't met each other because they're coming from different markets, you know? And then, for the men's health clinic, the same thing. Like I looked around and it's like, you know, I've got my daughter working the front desk. Our main phlebotomist, her mom is our MA, MA supervisor. You know what I mean? So I'm like looking around, like we're building this little family practice.
Yeah.
Now I have 3 nurse practitioners, where like last year I had 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like looking around, I'm just like, that's the inventory that I'm like, I look around, I'm like, I did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nobody can take that away from me. but that's my hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think I don't know about you guys, but like that shit feels special when you look.
It does.
When you go home, yeah, you might come home at 9 o'clock at night, but you're going to a house that you bought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
At how old were you when you bought it?
25.
Dude,
There you go.
ask how many fucking 25-year-olds bought a house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like very small percentage.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like that's how you have to take inventory.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. I think, you know, I mean, I wouldn't even know what to add to that, but I think
How many
you're
people
right,
start a
man.
business with
Yeah.
$7,000 and
Hey,
have
listen.
$1 million? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I do see that. I'm like, I look back at, you know, and just and one thing I forgot to mention is one of the biggest things that actually finally said, you know what, I'm going to start this company or else, well, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm 4 years. I'm going to say I should have started back then. I ended up getting COVID in November of 2020, and that thing
kicked your ass.
kicked me. I mean, literally, I was in bed. I could barely walk. I was barely breathing, and I had asthma. I grew up as a kid having asthma attacks.
Yeah.
I mean, I was struggling, and you know, it was like, man, I was just like 7 days. I was like, man, this stuff is tough.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the moment where it's just like, you know what?
Did you
I'm just
ever
gonna start my company.
did you ever feel like during that time when you had COVID, like, were you ever scared? Like, did you ever like life reflect real quick and just be like, oh shoot?
I did. Honestly, I did because like I'm thinking, okay, I survived a motorcycle accident in 1999 that I flatlined. I was in a coma for about, I think, 3 weeks.
Oh wow.
Fuck.
And I woke up. I woke up in November of 99, I woke up and I remember waking up and I was like, where am I? My brother, everybody's like, he's awake. And my brother was like, he's awake. And I was like, what? Wait, what happened? You were in an accident. And I was just like, whose car did we crash in? He was like, it was your motorcycle. And I was like, oh man, that's when I had just started riding. Right. And my best friend, he knows the whole story. Like everybody, it was like, boom, you know. So that was my first like, okay, I made it. Okay,
Like,
I was
I'm
given
here
a
for a
chance.
reason.
I'm here for a reason.
And then you fast
And
forward.
then I guess where I'm like, okay, you know, the whole COVID thing was a scare. I mean, nobody knew, right? And you hear all these people dying.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like,
2020 is probably the
man.
scariest time to get it.
Yeah, and I'm
You know?
like thinking like they didn't have this whole vaccine theory at that. But, you know, I was like, I got there, I'm like, man, if I make it out of this, which I feel like I will,
Yeah.
I just need to get this company off the
Yeah.
ground.
You need to do something.
I need to do something.
Call to action.
Yeah. And so, and that was the
You
start.
took
But-
inventory.
yeah, exactly. And so, but now, you know, we look back, we're in year 4, look back, and I'm like, wow, we started with
Yeah.
doing the Genesis. And then also LA County Beaches and Harbor is a good client of ours too. So we do all the stuff in Marina Del Rey at Burton Chase Park. Those two were our first like gigs, right? And then we get the Montage. We started helping there. We grew the team, right? Then we ended that. And then we got our first client on June 1st, started that, you know, and then from there we went from 27 employees to like actually starting with really 27 employees.
Yep.
To now we're, you know, 160 something, 180.
Yep.
And growing. It's like you look back and you're like, man, you know, we went from not even paying ourselves to paying ourselves to, you know, being able to do things
To
for
figure out how to write off some money so it doesn't look like you made as
I
much
learned.
money.
I listen. I you know
Trick
what
for
I
every-
did. Yeah, I
trick for
learned
every entrepreneur.
so much. I learned so much. But one thing, and it's probably it goes away from what we were just talking about. But one thing, I got to learn 2 things. I got to learn from being on the employee side, and then now the employer side.
Yeah.
So I've been on both sides, and I see where, you know, both sides are coming from because I mean, you got to figure out how to hold on to all that money you're making. Try to hold on to as much as you can. California is
and the
not a good
stress too, right?
Yeah, there's so much, but it's honestly, I think I have realized now that I have become a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I've
Well, now,
become-
you get addicted to
Yeah.
like, shit, I can, well, you literally, and I'm sure you guys feel like this too. Now that like, once you have a business and it's profitable, it's successful, or you're growing it or whatever, you start to like realize like damn, that was hard, but I could do that again.
Yeah.
Now like it's kind of just like anything. Like
Yeah.
once you learn it, you're just like, okay, like I could. Now there's different levels to it, but I do think like that's part of it. Like you have 2 businesses, like I have 3 businesses, you have multiple businesses. Like I think now, like, and we were talking about this before we started rolling, because you were like, you had kind of asked like, well, what's the plan like for you in the future? And like the reality is like, I think it's just something we're passionate about. Like we like just the startup phase, the struggle of it,
Yeah.
seeing it through, get it going. Most people do think about it as the money aspect, and like for sure, like that is the reward. If anything, it's kind of like the check mark that says you did good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I actually think there's something unique in each one of us, and any entrepreneur that you really talk to that just decides to take that leap of faith in themselves. It's a special little bit of like a bit of like you're psychotic to take the risk. You're brave. You're almost like bold. Like you're all this mix, like a mixing pot of different things, and it takes that breed of person to then do it. And so I will say I started multiple businesses that also failed before and at different levels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also some stuff that you just start and it is successful, and then you're like, fuck, I don't even like this. Like I started a t-shirt company, and Diamond Fit Club. It was eventually supposed to be a gym, and COVID like put that to like a hold.
Did you use Giovanni on that? Creative Prince?
I did. Yeah. For some of them.
He does my stuff, man.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
guy.
I did use him. And the thing is like, what's funny is like, I started drop shipping. All of a sudden it exploded. I was making like a good amount of money off of it. And I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
It was weird because it was a business that was successful, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then people were like, when are you going to do it again? And like, now I've done it like period. So it is funny. You could start a business that you don't enjoy. And somebody actually asked me that. They're like, hey, whatever happened to, you know, your clothing line and this? Cause like I had everything, man. I had like socks, I had fucking backpacks. I had like all this crazy shit.
Yeah.
And people were buying it and it was going nuts. And then, and it was like when the drop shipping thing was like a big thing. So you could use Shopify and do all this. But I literally was looking at it, I was like, I don't enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like it's so annoying to like, oh, you get an order, and then you have to pack it, and then you have to fill it, and then you send it, and then or you do the drop shipping, and then you have to make sure that they do it, and then you're just like kind of like, man, but I got to create new shit, and I'm not an artist.
Yeah.
So to create new ideas for stuff like that, I was like, this is not something I'm passionate about.
You just didn't. The love wasn't there.
The love
for it.
wasn't there for it
It
at
was
all.
a cool
but the
thing.
money was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it's important too, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're going to do it right, you really have to do it from like the heart.
Yeah.
I think that's like a very respectable and hard thing to do, because once you create something that's profitable, but if you're really like not all into it, like you come to a point, and it's hurtful because it is profitable to say, okay, I'm not into this as much as I thought I was gonna be. I need to almost in a way like kill it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And once you do so, now you put that time into something that's more valuable, and it's going to grow that much quicker.
Yeah. I also did the same thing. So Curtis was on here. Him and I started a fund. We started a fund to open Phoenix Salon Studios. And surprisingly enough, like it was one of those things, like I had the business mind, right, to like create the budgets and create like kind of the proposal process and like get all that started. And we did all that, and I invested a lot of time into it. And it was literally about to take off. And then it was at the same time, like Pro Park was about to take off. And I had to do the inventory list too. And it was like, shit, these are both going to work.
Yeah.
They actually are both going to work, but I'm not going to be able to give both of them the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And so I have to decide what am I more passionate about? And I was more passionate about this one. And so I had to go to him as my friend and say, hey, listen, man, like I know we did all this. I did all this work right here, but I love you, man. And like, I want to support you. I'll continue, but I gotta take a step back. I'll sign over my stuff. And then he ended up funding it, and he did a great job with it. And he opened his business, and then obviously we're still friends, you know. But I had to like, that was a hard one for me too, because I was like, fuck, I wasn't prepared for the time management on that aspect.
Yeah.
That one was way different because they were both taking so much time that I was like, I can't do it. I literally can't. That's a different type of environment. Like when that one sucked, because I was like, dang.
Yeah.
Both businesses are about to pop off, and I can only do one.
Bro,
And that
It's
was
like,
the sac.
Why
and
can't I do both? Why can't
But
I do both?
I did make the right choice
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, he ended up getting we talked about this a little bit after the podcast, but like, and I think maybe on it, but like, it ended up being the right thing because he got to get that opened, and then he got more of the equity and the payout from that. So then he can start his film business, and that's what he's ultimately passionate about. And then he's now growing the film business. Me, I got to grow Pro Park, got my shares from an equity event that we had, and then I opened Game Day, which I'm very passionate about men's health. So when you look at it comparatively, like if I would have invested the time the other way, both of us might have got screwed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would have taken a portion of his money that he needed for his film
Future,
stuff.
yeah.
That he needed. And then I would have lost out on this opportunity that I took a leap of faith on, and I knew, and I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
And you have you have that. The cool thing is that the income is coming in here
yeah,
to help continue to support
something else.
this thing that you really love to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, one of the things I realized was you started your own business. You started your own business. I've started my own business. You were destined to be an entrepreneur from the beginning. And I tell that to everybody, regardless, you know, if people start a business or they're successful in whatever they do. But I tell everybody, like, remember, you were born to be a winner.
Yeah.
Because how many of those, like 40 million sperm, and there's that one,
no, you're right.
there's that one
Entrepreneur
that survived and made it to the end, right?
Yeah.
And that was chosen. So you were born to be somebody.
Yeah.
Whatever that's gonna be, you were born a winner.
Yeah.
So just, you know, go out there and figure it out. What is it that you love to do? What are you passionate about? Can you live your life doing that? You know, I tell people that all the time. Like, what are you passionate about?
Yeah.
I even do that when I interview people for when
Yeah.
they want to come work. What are you passionate about?
Dude.
And dude,
Can I tell you this?
Yeah.
This is like the best interview question if you ever want to ask somebody. Look at somebody dead in the eyes and say, if time, schooling, and money was not an issue, what would you be doing with your life? So
That's a good
if
one.
you didn't have to worry about time, like you don't have kids at home, you don't have to worry about all that, right? Like time is not the issue. If schooling, whatever degree you needed, you would have, right? So if you wanted to be a doctor, you have the degree. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And if money, like your bills are paid for, whatever trips you want to take, all that stuff, it's all paid for. What would you be doing?
yeah.
That will really test out what kind of, like, are you doing the right, like, are you in the environment that you want to be?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, like, some people would be like, oh, well, I would just fucking sit on the beach and like, okay, so it sounds like you like nature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sounds like you like a lot of personal time.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not the right person for this position then because you need to, you know, be around, like, it sounds like you want to be by yourself. I need
Man, I
someone who
gotta
wants
use
to be
that.
Time,
I
schooling,
gotta
money,
use
man.
that.
If time, schooling, money wasn't an issue, and for entrepreneurs, we'd be working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
Like,
You're right. I'm asking myself that right
Yeah.
now, and I'm like, I'd probably be doing what I'm doing now.
yeah,
You know?
you would because
Yeah.
you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like I have already said 100%. I have zero intention of ever retiring ever.
Yeah.
I will always be working on a project
Yep.
of some kind.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what necessarily those projects are going to be past the ones I'm already working on because I love them so much. But I know there's not a place in my heart that I'm just fucking chilling somewhere doing nothing.
No.
I need people that I'm supporting, people that are reporting to me. I need strategy meetings. I need shit that's like a challenge. I need shit to work through, you know?
Oh man, I'm telling you, like one of the things, like for me, I'm always looking at ways to just keep my time occupied. I just love being able to provide people something that's going to help to make their lives better. You know, like one thing in our tech side, we partnered with this amazing person. Her name is Emily. She's a maniac, man. She's an entrepreneur, but she's a maniac. Software platform. It's a tipping platform. So it's like a QR code, you know, people, you know, you go stay at a hotel or things like that. And you want to tip the maid or whatever. You don't want to run down to the ATM and you got to pay $3, $4, whatever to take that money out.
Yeah.
Well, the platform was to scan a QR code, tip your maid from your room, and that money goes directly to the maid. So that's kind of, you know, like if I could, I mean, honestly, I'd be working on software or platforms that make people's lives easier
Yeah.
and allow them to generate more income for themselves, right?
Yeah.
But man, I mean, I don't know. But to
Yeah.
go back to what you said, I'm going to use those three.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
the one I tell people, I say this in the interviews, and sorry, I kind of went off topic, but the one thing I tell some of the interviewees that when they come in and I'm like, what are you passionate about? And they'll tell me, and I'll say, okay, I don't want you to working if we give you an opportunity to join this family, I don't want you working for us more than 2 years, because I'm hoping that you're going to be starting what is a business in what you're passionate about. So I don't want you being here more than 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and that's usually when they respond like, oh, I love doing this, I love doing that. I was like, while you're working with us, try to find a way that you can make a living doing what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
I don't want you staying here 5, 6, 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, unless that's what you want to do, then we can build that up. You know?
Well, I also, on that topic, you know, and we're actually going to get, we're coming up kind of like time wise. I want to be respectful of everyone's time here, but we'll do like a rapid fire of questions, like just 1 minute kind of like question, answer, stuff like that. But I actually was talking to like a good friend yesterday about this, and he was like, good friend, but I've worked with him before, and I'm, you know, talking to him about inquiring about coming to work for me. And his big struggle was like, there's no plan for him. He was like, there's no plan for me. Like at my current place, like there's legitimately, if I asked my leader, there's no plan for me. And I was like, well, like, cause that was the question I asked him. I said, what's the plan for you if you stayed there for another 2-3 years? Like, do they have a plan for you? And he's like, no. So I think that's a good thing to do. And I know you mentioned it as well. Like the guys who worked for you originally, like a lot of them opened their own places as well.
Yeah.
So it's like you played a role in that by working with them directly and like teaching them a little bit of the way. And then also you're probably still friends with most of those guys. You know what I mean? And so I think it's important for us to realize, like, just because you're successful doesn't mean that everyone's always going to work for you.
Yeah.
You know, you should have an intention to support those people to become something, and maybe they're trying to be just like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe they have their own hobby or something like that. So, so what I want to do to try to wrap up a little bit is we're going to do some rapid questions. Like I'm going to ask a question, and then we'll each kind of just give our like elevator speech, right? Like our 30-second, 1 minute answer or whatever. So Ernie, I'm going to start with you. If you can go back in time to the start of your business, what's one thing you would have done different?
One thing I would have did different would be I would have laid out my plan and my goals, because I feel like I'm just now realizing how important it is to have created these systems. And had I started those systems way sooner, who knows, I probably would have been on shop 2 or 3. And on top of that, like you were just saying earlier, there's going to be people that work for you that want to take off and do their own thing. And people will do that regardless. If they're meant to do that, they're going to do that. But to be able to stand there next to them and help them and be an asset to them is something that I would like to have started, you know, and it's something that I am going to start now, where I want to implement that into my business. Hey, if you want to do this, let me be a partner.
Yeah.
You know, let me be alongside of you and let me help you. And you're going to be more successful because of the things that I've gone through that I'm going to share with you. Because like you said, when you started, no one helped you. No one gave you answers. Now, no one's going to unless there's a benefit for them.
Yeah.
So if I can give you that benefit and you can give me a benefit, let's create a program and let's do this.
Yeah. It sounds like In the Cuts Barber is going to franchise here pretty soon. That's what I'm hearing.
Hey, that's
all right.
You never know. If
Absolutely.
You know, you never know.
Absolutely.
Never
We were talking about
Yeah.
it. All right. Same question.
For me,
If you can jump in a time machine, go back to the start, what would you do differently? One thing.
I would funding.
Funding. You would have got funding.
I would have
Cash reserves.
Oh yeah, I would have loved to have gotten a good chunk of funding, because I mean, I've probably paid hundreds of thousands in interest in loans that we had to get, things like that, to keep things going.
Yeah.
I think get some funding.
Yep. That was actually going to be my thing too.
Yeah, funding, honestly. I'm sure with the funding early on, I could have focused more on some other things. especially with having to pay out on these interest fees, especially in the beginning. Nobody's just like, you guys just started. Nobody's going to give you the money.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, there's no history here.
Yeah.
Now everybody's calling you. Everybody's calling you. They want, well, we see the numbers. But I would say if that was the one thing, I would say, yeah, get funding.
Yeah.
Funding would have helped me propel, would have helped me a lot. And we would have just saved hundreds of thousands of dollars that could have continued to grow the company even faster. Even though we grew really fast. Yeah, that would have been it for me.
Yeah, I actually think same thing. Like I had a expectation the business was going to grow faster. So cash reserves becomes an issue, especially if you have a business that is forking out tens of thousands of dollars per month. So we didn't take on any partners to open the business. We funded it ourselves. And so when you fund it yourself, it is hard to write $60,000 worth of checks every month and only be making in the beginning, $5,000, $10,000, $50,000. You know what I mean? Like it does eventually climb, but like cash reserves it's scary and it's stressful and it puts a lot of pressure on you. So I think I would have taken more time, got the funding with a very one large boom.
Yeah.
And don't bring in any investors, which we don't still have, thankfully, and just have that and just have it like that. Yeah. And I will say for anyone who is ever starting a business and looking for funding, the number one thing you should do is call Ernie, buy a house, build equity in it, take out a second mortgage or a HELOC on that equity, and you could use that to the business. Okay, if your home has $150,000 in equity, let's say, you can use that loan into the business. You can write off 100% of the interest on it, and then when the business gets cash positive, you can write that off. You can pay it back, and you get to write it off all tax free. And guess what? Then your home has more equity. You can go on to business number 2. I did not know that. I do know that now.
And incorporate out of the state of California.
Delaware.
Delaware. I mean, dude, there's so many states you can incorporate in and save some taxes.
Let me ask you guys. So what's essentially the end goal for you guys? Where do you see yourself? Not so much the end goal, because I know as entrepreneurs, we're forever working on a project. Yeah. But where do you see yourself later on? Like, what's the goal?
For me, it's generational wealth. So there's a thing going around that I've posted it a few times as I see it come around, but there has to be one person in the family who takes all the risk in order to set up generational wealth. And because I have kids and, I didn't go to college, and my kids, for the most part, it seems like they're not going to college and so on and so forth. On my mom's side, my dad's side, same thing. So I'm the risk taker. So I'm taking all the risk. Every dollar I've made, I reinvest back into myself and back into making more money for the family. And when I say family, I mean everybody. Mm-hmm. So for me, the end goal is making sure that, I have a goal to make like last year I paid off my mom's credit card debt. So she told everybody, so I might as well tell everybody. I paid off my mom's credit. I paid off all her shit, right?
Yeah.
The goal is now to pay her mortgage. The goal is then to retire her.
Yeah.
And then the next goal is to, I have nephews and nieces that don't have a mom or a dad. And I have 2 kids as well. So my goal is to make sure that I create a fund for the family that when they want to go and start a business, they have that. Now, both of my kids, my daughter turned 18. She got a savings account with $20,000 in it for her to do whatever she wanted to do. Because we talk about money, I talked about money a lot with her. She still has that money in her bank account. She didn't just turn 18 and then blow it.
But she had the opportunity.
She had the opportunity to, because it's in her name. She can do whatever she wants with it. It's her money. On her 18th birthday, here you go. My son already has more than $20,000 in it. He has that same opportunity for 4 more years. Yeah. So for me, there's no end goal, but there is the intention to create generational wealth that surpasses my life and create it in a way that that fund is going to get recycled. And so what happens is if I give $100,000, let's say, to my nephew to go start a maintenance company, or, he's into like cars and stuff like that. So he takes that $100,000. I teach him how to run a business. He opens the business. Then when his business gets profitable, he has to put that money back in plus interest. Right.
Yeah.
So then his kids, boom, next people, next people, next people. So I'm still trying to learn how to navigate all that, but that is the goal. That's my goal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I honestly, it's the same thing. Same thing was Joe said is generational wealth, you know, creating a trust, you know, and of course, same thing, you know, taking care of my parents, retiring them, you know, being able to make sure that everybody in my family, doesn't have to worry like we did growing up.
Yeah.
Growing up, I mean, we were poor. I mean, I used to build my own remote control cars from broken remote control cars.
Yeah.
So we grew up in a rough neighborhood, but I want to be able to just take care of all my family and all my close friends.
Yeah.
Like be able for them to know that they don't have to worry about the financial side of things.
Nice.
Because there's gonna be a trust built that will provide. But of course, there's going to be some things in there that, you know, it's mainly also too for them to start their own businesses.
Yeah.
You know, I want for other people in my family and my close friends to be able to start a business that they are passionate about, something they love doing, so that they can also start, you know, build that future for their families and whoever else they want to be taken care of. But generational wealth, getting that trust going, and just making sure that everybody knows that they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
They don't have to
what about
worry
you,
about
Ernie?
that.
Thanks to you guys, right? You
Yeah.
know, and that's what's up. That's an
Yeah.
amazing feeling.
What about you, brother?
For me, it's it's the same thing. You know, I think we all have the same goal, and it's really figuring out what are you gonna do to get there. Like for me, the biggest thing I want, man, is I want to build my real estate portfolio. I want to own a lot of properties, and I want to work my way up to owning commercial property, owning apartment buildings, and you know, it's just figuring out how to get there.
Yeah. One thing I appreciate you guys again. I know we're over time. David, appreciate you too, brother. We'll shout you out here.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy because like this is why I wanted to have this type of podcast today, is because I think there's a lot of people that sometimes look at us, maybe our family members for sure, and then close friends, and they're kind of like, well, how do they do it? You know, and like it is possible for every single person to be an entrepreneur, but it definitely takes, you have to be the one, you have to have a plan, you have to be prepared overall, and you have to invest time, and you have to take a risk.
Risk is a big thing.
And
Risk.
you know, and then you have to be dedicated to it. Like you said, there's no plan B. You know, you have to be dedicated to it. So for us three, one thing that just kind of came to mind, and I have this in place, I'm pretty sure you guys probably already have this in place too, but for anybody that's out there, the reality is like I'm hypersensitive to time. So yeah, I have this plan that I'm going to figure all this shit out, and I have enough time to do that and then set up my family and friends and so on and so forth with that generational wealth. But there's a reality that I could get hit, you know, by a car walking out of this place or whatever. So I have life insurance set up. I don't think a lot of people talk about that. Now, I only set it up a 20-year term because you know, at the end of the day, like, yeah, I could do whole life or whatever. But I have other ways to make sure I didn't need that whole life. So I set up a term life insurance. I'd recommend for everybody who's listening to realize like how important that is. It's like $150 a month for two people to sign up for it, or by yourself, especially you as a young guy. Yeah, I'm sure you had to start yours. But like, I know at least walking out of this place, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, someone's getting a couple mil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like somebody is.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree with you because I mean, listen, I have the whole life, I have the term life,
There you go.
but I'm telling you, because I have died already once, and then got COVID, and it was like, no, man, this, you know, if something was to happen to me, God forbid, something happened, like you said, you walk outside, I mean, a piece of a plane could fall off and then happen to land on you, right? Are the people you love going to be taken care of?
Yeah.
Or are they going to be out there trying to find ways to bury you and pay for those bills? I don't want that. I don't want anybody to have to like deal with that. So that's definitely, I would say, with, you know, anybody watching, make sure you get your, you know, life insurance, you know, whatever it is you need, term life insurance, whole life, and a will.
Yeah.
Because
I'll
you
teach
don't want-
everyone.
yeah.
The cheap trick is, guys,
Huh.
get your term insurance. You can convert it to whole life right before it ends. So if you get a 20-year term, you can convert it.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit more pricier, but you don't have to pay any of the interest along the way.
I gotta call my. I gotta
Yeah.
call my agent.
But make sure that also a lot of people don't know this, that they have their houses and they think they're all good and they have their life insurance
Yeah.
and they're like, all right, I'm good. But when you die, that house actually goes to probate.
Yeah.
So make sure that
Yeah.
you put that house into a trust.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
If anybody watching isn't set up in a trust, contact me and I'll help set you up.
There you go. Boom.
And you know what? You're right though. And see, that's the thing. And honestly, the only way I really learned about that was by following certain individuals on like Instagram and on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's where I learned all that. So, I think if for a lot of people out there that are, everybody's stuck on social media, they're looking at Instagram, TikTok, whatever.
Yeah.
Try to follow some people that are going to just
Put you
spit
on-
some knowledge. Just like right now, you just provided some amazing information that I'm sure somebody's going to watch it.
Be like,
and
no,
they'll be like,
shit.
dude.
Okay, so I saw this happen firsthand. One of my buddies owned a multi-million-dollar house right here in Temecula. Multi-million-dollar house. Beautiful. The most beautiful house I've ever been to. And he was a young guy in his 30s.
Yeah.
And he was the type of guy, bro, he had a G-Wagon, a Cadillac. Like, I was like, this guy is set for life. And I just cut his hair 2 days ago, or 2 days before. He was a pilot. He was flying, crashed, and everybody on the plane died. His wife was on board too. So now they have this beautiful life. They have this beautiful house. I knew him very well. He told me, he's like, bro, my kids are set up. They're good. It
But-
all went to probate.
Yeah.
Didn't have the trust set up.
No way.
They're gonna have to sell the house. The family's having to sell the house. It's important. It's so important to set up a trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you know what? You're right. Honestly, I will say one thing I do plan on doing this year is buying land outside of California and buying several acres. It probably sounds weird, but
No.
a portion of some of that land will be dedicated to just kind of like a private cemetery for family, for like myself,
I know a couple
my
people who
family,
did
all that.
I know people
Yeah.
who do that.
Yep.
There's
Because
a lot of
then,
tax purposes.
then the state government can never take that land away.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are dropping end
Yeah.
of life knowledge right
Yeah.
here. Like,
If you made it this far,
yeah, if you made it this far, get your shit together because you
Yeah.
might die tomorrow and it might go to probate. And
yeah.
And land
I
is
heard-
cheap. You
I
can
heard
buy
Trump
land
did
pretty
that,
good.
bro. I heard that he had like somebody buried on one of his properties.
I think he buried
His
his
grandma or
ex-wife,
something,
no,
or
his
somebody, right?
ex-wife got buried in one of his
Jesus.
properties.
I told them not to talk about politics, guys. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
I know
kidding.
somebody. Yeah, that was the thing. But you know what? But you know what? Honestly, I'm not. It's just. But my thing is like I listened. I just caught that little
No, I
nugget,
gotcha.
and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the whole thing of generational wealth and
Yep.
keeping everything in the trust, all the trust and all that. But how do you just said it right there. Like they thought they were set, and there was one thing that probably could have taken minutes to do
Yeah.
Yeah.
is what changed everything.
Yep.
And so, that's why I'm looking to buy like acres of land outside of California or even in California. It doesn't matter.
If it's
But I
in
just wanna
California,
buy it. Yeah.
contact
Oh,
me.
there.
Yeah.
Don't worry. man.
Californians, right?
Yeah. But it's, having that and then dedicating a portion of that to just like a family cemetery. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy and people are probably like, "You're talking about, listen, we don't take anything with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
But
well,
we
that's,
want to leave it behind for the rest of the family."
I will tell you guys, that's actually a funny thing because one of my friends says that. And so now I spend way more money because he's like, bro, just remember you can't take it with you. I'm like, fuck, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But on that note, I appreciate you guys. I think there was a lot of knowledge and experience dropped by two very successful individuals. Like I said, it's kind of really cool. Late 20s, mid 30s, early 40s. All of us having businesses and starting them at different points in our lives, managing multiple different roles and responsibilities from being fathers, to business owners, to starting other businesses and just trying to figure out. So everything I think we talked about today is going to hit home for multiple different people. And I can say this was a success to have a group setting. Definitely we'll do it again.
Definitely.
And I appreciate you guys. And, you know, everybody just, again, please, I'll tag these guys, follow them, contact them, however you see fit. But appreciate you guys for taking the time today.
Thank you, Joe.
Appreciate you having us on,
We
Joe.
are out. We are out.